Hey guys, this video comes a day late, but with some awesome news. My wife gave birth to our healthy little girl since we last talked, bringing us up to 2 beautiful daughters. You might have expected that to prevent me from making a video this week, and honestly, I thought it would have too, but I was struck with inspiration early in the week and got a lot of drawing done. Hear me out. I want to create a Pokemon that hybridizes 3 things I think are pretty cool. We're going to talk about 2 of them first, and then the third one later. Fire-flying ant. That's the first concept. Well, the first 2 concepts in one concept. Fireflies and flying ants. This Pokemon is meant to be a hybrid of the 2. I think everyone knows the basics of both, but fireflies are insects, they're beetles. They can use a bioluminescent chemical mixture to make their abdomens glow, hence fireflies. Fire ants get their name because they possess a toxic venom that creates a burning sensation. When they bite you, it literally burns, hence fire ants. Also, a lot of species are red, so that helps too. But combining fireflies and fire ants isn't as straightforward of a task as you might expect. Mostly because I wanted to ensure that I settled on a concept that went beyond the smash 2 bugs together idea. Right off the bat, I also want to make it clear that this Pokemon might resemble 2 bugs, but it's not a bug type. You can't make me do it. This is my region, I make the rules, guys, back off! But plus, you got Trapinch and Vibrava and Flygon. Those aren't bugs, so there's a precedent for what I'm doing here. The goal is to make something that has insect features, but that is completely its own thing. How do we do that? Lore and character building, baby. My 2 favorite things. So, what makes this Pokemon special? Well, it is quite literally intended to embody a guiding light. Now, I've created our regional bird, a psychic flying type owl named Falsight, who enters the dreams of humans to guide and shape them. This little flaming insectoid Pokemon is not going to be a guiding light in that sense. The ability to harness fire is often cited as one of the most influential of human discoveries, and I don't disagree. With fire, humans were able to ignite their path towards a further developed future. This Pokemon is meant to embody that same fire and act as a guiding light towards the future in the sense that by harnessing its power, humans could determine that future for themselves. I hope that makes some sense. We can get into this a little bit more as we cover this little guy's evolutions, but the native peoples of Wentano, who I think I might call Wentanites, it's a work in progress. Regardless, those people have a deeper and stronger connection to their Pokemon than that of any other region. Even before the creation of the Pokeball, these people had a culture based on harmony with their partner Pokemon, and it's manifested in some Pokemon like Gantuary, who are the remnants of special carving ceremonies. For centuries, the Wentanites have relied on this Pokemon's companionship to light up their world at night or in dark caves. Meet Ankopsis, the illumination Pokemon. Ankopsis have been the partner Pokemon of the ancient Wentanoan people for centuries. Using the bright bulbs on their abdomens, this Pokemon can illuminate a small range around them, making night and cave travel much safer. Many cite the bond between Wentanites and Ankopsis as the event that led to their culture of symbiosis with Pokemon as well as technological development. We've talked a little bit about Ankopsis and what its relationship with humans looks like, but I also want to take some time to discuss what its relationship with its colony looks like. That's right. This Pokemon often lives in colonies rather than acting as an independent Pokemon. In fact, Wentanoan tribes often built their settlements, whether permanent or not, around or near Ankopsis nests so that they could train and interact with this Pokemon. But let's talk about these nests and we'll circle back to the people later. I kind of imagine that the nests are like a fusion of ant and termite nests. I want deep, interconnected tunnels that transform into towering mounds of hardened dirt at the surface. I know, it's a bit greedy to take it all, but there isn't anyone around to stop me, except myself, and I'm not going to, so good luck. The reason I want these spires, usually found in African termite nests, is because I think it would be the perfect place for these Pokemon to use their bright bums to signal each other. I imagine that Ankopsis and its evolutions are adverse to sunlight and usually go out in troops at night to forage for food. It's easy to find the nest when you can spot an elevated light source to guide you back. That's likely another reason why Wentanoan peoples would build their homes near an Ankopsis mound, as they could always find their way back home using the light if needed. Within any ant species, you'll find ants differentiated by job that form colonies. They have physical differences that are apparent once they exit the larval stage. The most common are worker, soldier, and queen. And really, what else do you need? If Ankopsis is our worker ant, then this evolution Pokemon is our soldier ant, intended to defend the colony. Hence, the fire cannons in its palms. It's funny, I realized as I was making this Pokemon that I just really like it when things can shoot stuff out of their hands. I don't think I've done it yet in this region, but I have made so many Pokemon with arm cannons over the years. It's, I don't know. It's just who I am, I guess. While Ankopsis are out foraging, these Pokemon are accompanying them as larger light sources. But what does that mean for how they act with native Wentano people? Well, I imagine that they're still companions. These Pokemon pack some serious firepower, but they aren't seeking out battles or fights. They merely accompany and protect. I think another use for their arm cannons might be shooting tall pillars of flame into the night sky as a distress signal. Should their companions be under attack and at risk of defeat, this Pokemon points one or both hands into the air. Flames erupting up to 50 feet into the air temporarily scare off any attackers and also signal to the rest of the colony that they need some help. This Pokemon is also going to stand atop the pillars or the dirt mounds of each colony. Not only is it a good defensive position, but their abdomens glow much brighter than that of Ankopsis. It may sound silly that the only parts of true fireflies I'm incorporating are the glowing abdomens, but it's actually a little bit deeper than that. You see, bioluminescence found in fireflies is actually a chemical reaction, and it happens in a specialized organ in their abdomen, hence the glowing posterior. My Pokemon is also going to use this reaction to create a glowing fire. It's more like a bombardier beetle, though. I'll let you look that up. But essentially, it combines two chemicals to make a flaming hot liquid that can kill other bugs. It's scary, and I'm going to do the same thing, just with fire. Though, I do imagine it's kind of like the drippy wet fire you see from some of the dragons in How to Train Your Dragon. Meet Lampilae, the nightlight Pokemon. Lampilae act as the soldiers who protect the colonies of ants scavenging the forests of Wentano at night. They can be found standing guard atop dirt mounds that mark the colony's nest, keeping watch while also using their bright posteriors to signal Ankopsis of the path home. They can shoot flames as high as 50 feet in the air to signal danger to the rest of their colony. Now, you might be expecting a queen ant Pokemon as the final member of our colony, but you'd be wrong. You might be asking, why do this, Seajay? Why go against the grain? I'll tell you why. Male ants have been oppressed for literally centuries, and no one is doing anything about it. How come we've never seen a king ant lead his nest to a glorious victory? Because no one's ever given him the chance. Am I going to give him that chance? Honestly, not really. This isn't a gender-specific evolution, but keep fighting, male ants. Maybe one day you can have that freedom. Actually, the reason I'm not doing a queen ant Pokemon is because I have a sneaky third source of inspiration that I mentioned in passing earlier, and I'm ready to talk about it. In Navajo mythology, Shijini, also referred to as the Black God, is the god of fire, and by some accounts, of the stars. Common depictions include a crescent moon on the forehead, a full moon for the mouth, and Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters constellation, on his temple. I'm not doing a queen ant Pokemon because we have the opportunity to make something much more unique and interesting. The Black God is an important mythological figure to the Navajo because he's the one who created the fire drill, a now common way of starting fire that enabled the Navajo people long ago. While not all versions of Shijini created the stars, my Pokemon is going to pull inspiration from the Black God who did. I think it plays nicely into the illuminating, guiding light themes that we've already established. This Pokemon brought fire to mankind as a tool, but also created stars, though they may not be quite what you're expecting. You see, this Pokemon, whether male or female, has the ability to create new stars, those little prismatic shapes that you see floating around it. But these aren't stars, as much as they might resemble them. No, these are new Ankopsis eggs that will glow brighter and brighter as they get closer to hatching. This Pokemon has a level of shamanic enlightenment that has brought it a psychic typing and enables it to levitate these eggs around it. The interesting thing is that, like many civilizations used constellations for direction, this Pokemon long ago would physically arrange its glowing eggs to direct the people of Wentano. This guiding light, following the constellations as arranged by this Pokemon, allowed early people to harness the power of fire. Even today, remaining Wentanites revere this Pokemon's eggs as priceless treasures. There's a dedicated hatching ceremony that families perform as they welcome Ankopsis hatchlings into the world. I imagine that anciently, these eggs would light dwellings of all shapes and kinds until they hatched, at which point they would become companions to those in the home. Something I do want to touch on briefly. This isn't the most beautiful Pokemon ever, at least by conventional standards. I think it's beautiful, but there may be a lot of you who don't like how it looks. Let me tell you, it's exactly what I had in mind. Its unconventional shapes and concepts pull from a culture that many may have never heard from. Its face is almost a direct knockoff of the Black God's actual appearance, just with some minor tweaks on my end. This Pokemon is intended to break the normal physiology and perceptions of what a Pokemon should be, at least a little bit. Think of things like Sigilif. Anyways, meet Lunadaeus, the 7-star Pokemon. Lunadaeus act as the leader for a given Ankopsis colony. Using their psychic abilities, they levitate and nurture Ankopsis eggs, which led early Wentano peoples to believe that this Pokemon could create stars. While this is not the case, it did introduce Wentanites to methods by which they could harness fire and forge the symbiotic bonds that still exist between Pokemon and native Wentanoans. There you have it, some really fun Navajo mythology-inspired Pokemon. Fire ants, fireflies, and Hashi-e-Shijini, or the Black God. It's one of the most out-there concepts I've ever gone for, but I love it. Did I make another non-bug bug Pokemon? Yes I did. Try to fight me through the internet, I guess. I don't know. Until next time then, thank you, and I hope you create something amazing of your own.